Well, hello, everyone. This is Wilson Cole. I'm president of Adams, Evans, and Ross. I want to talk to you about the five things that we typically see whenever a company is or whenever the country is going into recession. And, we've been very fortunate. We've been able to service the staffing and recruiting industry since the early 90s. So we've seen our share of slowdowns. And quite frankly, each slowdown, each recession is a little different. They all have their own uniqueness, but at the end of the day, they also feel very much the same. And we also see some of the same characteristics that play out. I had interviewed Danny Cahill years ago, and he and I were talking, and we were talking about what you need to do prior to a slowdown or a recession. And he had some really wonderful points. If you go search our YouTube channel, you'll see that interview with him. But one thing that Danny said, and it was spot on, and you can tell he's done this a long time too, is when a recession hits, it's not like it sits down at 12 o'clock and has a cup of coffee next to you and says, oh, by the way, I'm here. It's kind of almost like finding ghosts at first. It's like, wow, that's weird. Are we in a recession? Are we not in a recession? And sometimes it's even unclear for us until you're already, maybe a month or a quarter or so or two into that recession. So here's the five signs that you want to look at. Backdoor hires increase. Now, one thing I can tell you is backdoor hires increase at both sides of that equation. We used to be able to use that as our absolute litmus test. Is if we saw a huge surge in backdoor hires, we knew we were going into a recession. If we were in a recession and all of a sudden we saw a surge, we knew we were probably coming out of a recession. It's kind of a weird anomaly. And we still see that. We still do use that as one of our tests with our software company that finds those backdoor hires. Sometimes that can be a little misleading because we can just possibly get a client that hasn't searched their data in 3 years. So that's one thing to look at internally. Are you having, and when I say backdoor hires, that's the recruiting side. The temp equivalent is they convert your temporaries and they don't tell you. The other thing is debtors become much more aggressive. Clients do as well, but debtors all of a sudden start creating excuses. And it's not just the normal excuses that you've heard the last 5, 10, 7, 8 years, wherever the last recession. And COVID was a kind of a hybrid. I mean, it was kind of a weird situation. But if you go back to the '08, the early 2000s recessions, debtors become really aggressive and become very threatening. We refer to it as debtor arrogance. It's all of a sudden your fault that they owe you, $10,000 or $150,000. Another thing that we see is companies come in for collections, and sometimes we may make a call to a disconnected phone number, or within a week we have a disconnected phone number. If you start having companies just all of a sudden, boom, out of business, file for bankruptcy, just out of the blue, those can be warning signs that you probably want to kind of take a look at. Another thing that we see better companies coming into collections. Now, with this being said, we have household names come in here for collections all the time. The people that we collected from last year are going to be household names, but those are typically disputes. Those are various reasons that they wouldn't have paid, but they're typically not as much economic. But we start seeing companies that are household names come in, and it's 100% an economic issue. They're restructuring, they're slowing down payments, things along those lines. That's why best practices really start coming into play. The other thing that we see is we start seeing the same company come in at a disproportionate level. I did a video earlier in the month where we had talked about, we're seeing the same debtor come in, for 3 different companies. We start seeing that much more frequently, and we also start seeing that instead of, in the last 3 to 6 months, they owed 3 companies, we see them come in and they owe 5 or 10. It can get to the point of ridiculous. So kind of take a look at that. I can tell you as of April 2023 when I'm recording this, we have seen a little bit of an uptick in backdoor hires. Not bad, but a little bit. So I'm not sure what that means. Debtors are not really that much more aggressive than they typically are. So maybe we're not seeing a horrible downturn yet. And we're not seeing where companies are just gone when they come in. So I feel good about that. The better companies, outside of the disputes, we're not seeing the household names come in there. So to ease everybody's mind, because I've talked to a lot of recruiters, and there seems to be some concern, and there's obviously some slowing down. But I'm not seeing as of, now this may change before the end of April, but as of April 2023, we're not seeing those telltale signs. I'm going to make a point on these videos going forward through this year to kind of give a state of staffing and recruiting message. I do this from time to time, and it's probably something that we need to do a little bit more of. But I'm just going to kind of let everybody know once a month in these videos what we're seeing, what industries are coming in, and things along those lines. But those are the 5 signs that we typically see. Each recession is different. Each has its own uniqueness and targets certain industries more so than others. But just practice best practices, and also keep in mind during the recession, what you may see in a little bit of a slowdown, you make up on the backside, because a lot of the folks that were for lack of a better word, the bottom feeders, don't make it through. So you have a bigger market share because there's just not that many people out there. If we can help you with collections, please click on the link above. You can speak with me or one of our staff attorneys to discuss the specifics of your case. Hey guys, it's Wilson again, and this video was brought to you by Adams, Evans, and Ross. And if you like the video, please make sure that you click on the subscribe button and also like the video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below as well. If you'd like to learn more about our company, please visit our website at staffingdebt.com. And also remember, if there's no collection, there's absolutely no cost at all.